All right, students, let's continue with our chapter, Going Places. Now, in the first part, we got to know our two main characters, right? We have Sophie, who is always lost in her world of dreams, and then there's her brother Jeff, who is much more practical. So in this part, we're going to see how Sophie's imagination starts to spiral into actual lies, and we'll see what happens when her fantasy world starts to clash with reality. And this question right here, this is really at the heart of the entire chapter. It's asking us to think, do our dreams push us forward to achieve something great? Or can they sometimes trap us, becoming a kind of prison? Just keep this question in the back of your mind as we go through the rest of the story. So to really understand the central conflict here, we absolutely have to start with the two siblings, Sophie and Jeff. You'll see they represent two totally opposite ways of looking at life. So on one hand, you've got Sophie. She's completely lost in these glamorous daydreams, always seeking attention. And then on the other side, there's Jeff. He's a mechanic, quiet, grounded, a total realist. The author does this on purpose, you know. This stark contrast between them is what fuels all the tension we're about to see. Okay, let's move on to a really important phrase that their father uses. It's a piece of advice that is absolutely key to understanding what real success means in this chapter. So the family is talking about this young football player, Danny Casey. And the father says that for Danny to be truly great, he needs to keep his head on his shoulders. So what does that even mean? Well, it means talent isn't enough, not by a long shot. You also need to be mature, disciplined, and make smart choices. Not just once, but day in and day out. It's all about consistency. And this right here really breaks down what their father is saying. You've got raw talent, which, sure, can be impressive for a little while, but it's easily distracted. And then you have disciplined effort. I mean, think about any great sports person you admire. Their success doesn't just come from natural skill, does it? It comes from years and years of consistent hard work. That's the difference. And this is the main lesson here. A flash of brilliance is great, but it's that consistent day-by-day effort that builds real achievement. The person who can stay focused, stay disciplined, well, that's the person who really succeeds in the long run. So, does Sophie get this message about hard work and consistency? Not at all. Actually, she does the complete opposite. Instead of focusing on reality, she spins an even bigger fantasy for herself, all to get that attention she desperately craves. Now, just look at how this lie snowballs. It isn't just one little fib. It starts with a simple claim, I met him. But then she adds these really specific, kind of unbelievable details, like he's going to buy a shop. And finally, she invents a promise for the future, a date. You can see she's building this entire fictional world around herself. Her father's reaction is so important here. He's not just angry. He's worried. He sees that her stories are not harmless daydreams anymore. He's warning her, look, this habit of yours is going to lead to some serious trouble and disappointment. And this brings us to a really important question. I mean, who is she actually lying to? Of course, she's lying to her family. That's obvious. But think a little deeper. The more she tells these stories, the more she starts believing them herself. So the person she's truly fooling is herself. And that is the most dangerous lie of all. Now, in the middle of all this family drama, her brother Jeff plays this quiet but incredibly significant role. He's a bit more complex than just being the realist. Let's take a closer look at Jeff. He knows his sister. He knows these stories are probably just made up. But what's his reaction? He doesn't make fun of her or call her a liar. No, he listens patiently. He becomes her silent support system, the only one she feels she can really talk to. So even though he's grounded in reality, he still gives her that space to dream.
You know, this idea of an anchor is the perfect way to describe Jeff. Sophie is like a balloon, just ready to float away into her fantasy world. And Jeff, he's the anchor. He's that one solid connection she has to the ground, to what's real. He's her quiet protector, in a way.
So what's the ultimate message here? What are we supposed to take away from Sophie's story and this struggle she has between her dreams and the world she actually lives in? This slide just captures that central conflict perfectly. On one side, you have Sophie's fantasy world. It's all about glory, attention, and a life where success just happens, like in a movie. And on the other side, you have the real world, hard work, limitations, and a future probably at the biscuit factory. The whole story is about the painful collision of these two worlds. This whole cycle has a name. It's called escapism. It's basically trying to escape from unpleasant realities by living in a fantasy world. And as you can see here, it's a really dangerous path. It starts with unrealistic dreams that have no action behind them. That leads to self-deception, where you start to believe your own lies. And the final step? Isolation and a whole lot of disappointment when reality finally comes crashing down. Okay, so for your exam prep, these are the 4 key points you really need to remember. First, Sophie represents dreaming without any action. Second, Jeff represents practical thinking and quiet support. Third, that phrase, head on your shoulders, means discipline and consistency. And finally, the main theme is that escapism ultimately leads to self-deception and disappointment.
So the chapter leaves us with this final, really powerful question. It's not saying that having dreams is a bad thing. Of course not. Dreams are so important. But a dream without a plan, without action, without discipline, well, that's just a fantasy. The real challenge is to do the hard work to make that dream a reality. So the question is for you. Will you chase success or just a dream? If this explanation helps you understand the chapter better, do like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, @the Ace Archive, for more such Class 12 English content.